All right. I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is, of course, the roll call.
Commissioner Lively?
Here.
Commissioner Whitmer? Here. Commissioner Quinlan?
Present.
Chair Christensen?
Here.
Commissioner Lane?
Here. Next item is are the minutes, approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any comments on that? I have one comment. I noticed you, Eric, were not quoted in.
I noticed that too, but I wasn't hurt by that.
Maybe what you said wasn't worth the
Yeah, that's what I figured too.
So, but I think you did say something, as I remember.
I was surprised, in one section I thought I said something that didn't show up, but I couldn't remember what I said, so I didn't have an adjustment. So it wasn't that compelling, I don't think.
All right.
I move approval.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. This is the time for public comments for anyone that wishes to speak. They would be limited to 3 minutes and subjects that are not on the agenda. Do I see any takers? No. Then we'll pass on to commissioners' reports.
None ready.
None for me.
None.
Compelling week, a month, nothing for me.
And I have nothing. Our commissioners are full of information. The staff reports.
I don't have any updates.
All right. Seamless meeting so far.
No news is good news.
We had the memo about the draft zoning code update. Is that on the staff report or is this draft zoning code update?
Where is that?
I didn't get it.
I
You
didn't
didn't
get it.
get that?
No.
Do we have a draft zoning?
Where's the memo from?
It's got your name on the top of it.
In March.
Oh, this is regarding the report to City Council on the general plan implementation, so it's just for your information.
Yeah.
No actions needed.
I didn't understand why it was called a draft zoning code update, because when I looked through it,
Right, it's an annual report that's required to be submitted to the state on the status of the general plan. And so we'll be coming forward with some updates to the general plan, but that's down the road, and we're also working on a bike and pedestrian master plan, so we kind of want to bring that all together.
okay. All right, so, but this is not a draft update?
No.
Okay.
Are there any other questions of staff? Very quick. So, all right, we'll open the public hearings. The first item is heritage tree removal and 153 James.
Good evening, Commissioners. The first item before you this evening is a request for the removal of 4 heritage cedar trees at 153 James Avenue. There is no construction being proposed at this location. The property owner is requesting a removal permit due to the condition of the trees and to replant with trees more suitable to the site. All 4 trees are located at the front of the property along the right property line and are referenced as trees numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are several other heritage trees on site. Trees 1, 2, and 3 all have poor form as well as a history of giant cedar aphid. Additionally, the roots of trees number 2 and 3 are uplifting the driveway. Trees 3 and 4 are also suppressing the growth of nearby native oaks as well as the camphor tree. In addition, the property owner's arborist has indicated that trees 1 and 4 have an increased chance of wind throw. Kevin Keelty, the town arborist, has conducted a site inspection and rated the trees' condition based on vitality and form, and concluded that all 4 trees were on the low end of the fair rating. He added that limb failure is more likely to occur due to the long lateral limbs. He also added that the giant aphid is very hard to kill without the use of strong insecticides, and that the honeydew caused by these aphids damages paint on cars and is tracked easily throughout the property. An initial study and mitigated negative declaration have been prepared for the project. The property is slightly less than 1 acre, and therefore the removal of more than 2 heritage trees requires an initial study under CEQA. The initial study found that although there could be a significant effect on the environment, mitigation measures will be incorporated which would reduce any significant impacts to less than significant. Specifically, replacement of the trees and procedures in place in case of the discovery of nesting birds and/or cultural resources will be required for the project. Further, if any work occurs during the wet season, October to April, the owner will be required to submit an erosion control plan. A revised heritage tree removal permit has been placed with your materials. Since distribution of the packet, the property owner has met with the town arborist and they've worked together to determine some replacement trees that would be best suited to the site. So we did revise the condition in the draft permit. Based on the town arborist recommendations, staff is now recommending replacement with the red oak, red maple, Chinese pistache, and Japanese maple, with the replacement requirement of 1 36-inch box or 2 24-inch box trees per tree removed. And we did make that to the satisfaction of the town arborist in the condition in case, as they work, species might change. To date, staff has received no comments or inquiries on this project. Planning staff and the town arborist are supportive of the request for the removal of the 4 heritage cedar trees as outlined in the staff report. I'm available to answer any questions, as is the town arborist and property owner. In terms of the actions before you this evening, there will be 2 motions, one for the adequacy of the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration, and then one for the heritage tree removal permit. Thank you.
Any questions? I have one question in regard to, has the applicant accepted the choice of trees and so as replacement?
My understanding is that they've spoken, discussed it. I think he would like a little flexibility if, as they're planting the new trees, he needs to have, one type of species change. However, we are recommending the same number of trees, and we're going to leave it.
Number and not necessarily the trees that you just specified.
That's what was discussed, but my understanding was that they wanted a little bit of flexibility in terms of if they decide to do 2 of one tree versus 1 of each, or something along those
The
lines.
clients are, the residents arborists provided a list, and those trees, if they decide to use those trees, those would also be, would be fine. They're all good on his list. It's a little larger than the list that we came up with.
Okay.
And what was the motivation for switching the trees
Um,
from the original?
It was just a misunderstanding. Generally, when we approve removals, we go, if it's a native oak, we make them replace with native oak, and if it's an imported tree, an ornamental, then they can use it, or some type of ornamental tree. And that's just generally been our policy since I've been here, and putting the oaks in was kind of a mistake on my part.
Is it because they crowd out the other oaks?
They have, quite a few oaks along the edge of the perimeter, and I think they're looking for something that would be, instead of just making it a whole oak area, would be more of an understory look with some fall color, things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll open the public hearing and ask the applicant to speak first, if he wishes.
We didn't prepare anything. We thought the package that the planning board prepared was quite sufficient, and maybe to clarify what Kevin said about the trees. Tonight, we
Excuse
saw
me,
for the
if you
first
can
time.
come speak at the,
Certainly.
thank you.
Give your name, sir.
Sure, my name's Mark Mitchell. The Chinese pistache is a tree I've never seen, but if we have a little tree.
Look,
Thank you. We'll take your word for that and put it somewhere in the lot.
yeah, no, I'm teasing it away. We have several pistachios, various projects.
Yeah.
It's a nice red color in the fall.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. We are lacking for color on our lot, and we'd like to go with something that, as was said, changes color in the fall and so forth. But the basic issue we have is that a couple of the trees have been topped, and they are structurally having some problems, and we'd like to not have them fall in the house.
Good strategy.
Always helps. I can blame my mother-in-law for doing that because we live in their house.
Oh.
And when the trees were so large and they did become topped, they should have fixed the problem then, but they never knew that we were going to be taking over the properties,
So as clarification, they top, but not like.
not by us.
But by your mother-in-law?
My mother-in-law,
I don't think you.
and her phone number is,
I'm very careful about what I say about my mother-in-law. Yes.
Are there any further questions of the applicant? Thank you very much.
thank you.
Is there anybody else here would like to speak on something? If not, I'll close the public hearing and we'll start the discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions for applicant.
Oh, yeah.
Convince me they should come out of there.
Okay.
Not his job.
The, what's gonna happen with those Theodore cedars, so the same tree that's out in front, you know, right as we walk in, and they're gonna get quite large, and as they increase in size, those, the form issues that they have from the topping, the lateral limb growth, and the low limbs that are trying to become tops, that's just gonna increase, plus, the driveway issue. You know, right now, the driveway is just starting to crack, and in time, they will have, they're known for a large surface roof. You'll get significant damage to the property. And that aphid is really difficult one to control. When you walk, during the summer, when you walk on their driveway, I was out there last summer and got to see it. It's like your shoes are gum, and they're just, you can just feel it, and then it tracks all over the place. It would take quite a bit of pest control to get rid of them. And then it would be annually. The aphids would be back every year. So it's just, I think we could do better with better species of trees for that location.
And how badly are they suppressing the oaks?
Well, one oak is really bizarre shaped, and it hangs over the neighbor's property heavily. It has grown out from under the tree, and whether that tree, I mean, that'll be something between the two neighbors, whether that tree remains or gets trimmed heavily to try to take some of that weight off of it. But yeah, the oaks are they're all heading towards the neighbor's house, trying to get out from underneath the cedars. And they will improve when they get more light.
So that they do have the ability to sort of come back, because sometimes if it's inhibited, there's no branches, so it's not gonna get.
Right, with some trimming, they'll get inside growth, and they, you know, they'll always have the bent trunk. There's no straightening that. But they are definitely suppressed by the cedar trees.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, the public hearing is closed. We'll start with commissioner comments, and you, Eric, please lead off.
I'm glad you asked that question, because going up to the house, I wasn't clear why they had to be removed. I read the report and I appreciated that, but your explanation helps helps me understand that. Also, the fact that they're going to be replaced by healthier trees, and because I felt like if they were just being removed, it just would change the character of the site too much. So I'm glad that it's going to be replaced. So with those stipulations, I think it works for me. But without your clarification, it wouldn't.
Okay.
Paul?
Obviously, I don't know the extent to which the pest problem is a problem. I know that these kind of cedars have breakage problems because one came through our roof at our last house. And so I have some sympathy for that. And, you know, ultimately, I think that you need to let the oaks grow. And so I'm a bit on the fence on this one. So I'd like to sort of hear what everybody else has to say, because, you know, they look fine, it's just they're not ideal specimens.
Mary Beth, then?
Tree number 1 is especially troubling to me. I thought that it needed to come out. The other trees I wasn't as certain about, but with the explanation, I can go for that.
Phil?
I visited the property for the weekend, talked with the applicant, was undecided after I left, and until Kevin spoke, I was undecided which way to go, and now I guess I would agree for the tree removal.
Okay, I visited the property. Fortunately for me, it was, trees were visible from the street,
That's same here.
and,
Good numbering too, the numbering was nice.
yeah, nice big number.
Yeah.
But we have 4 deodoras at home that we planted in 1966. There's also deodoras along the Holbrook Park boundary on Watkins, as I'm sure many of you have seen. These trees, frankly, are very poor specimens of the species. I like the tree, and my wife would love to remove them because of the pollen and the debris that they leave. But anyway, they're staying at our house. But these 4 should come down. I'm usually in support of anything that's a heritage tree, but you know, they're stifling the oaks. They've been treated wrongly. The branches are cut too far from the ground. So I really am very strongly in favor of their removal and replacement with a better species. Do we have any further discussion? Would somebody make a motion then?
Well, there's 2 motions. One of them is the motion number 1 on the draft mitigated negative declaration. Move the planning commission to find that the initial study and draft mitigated negative declaration prepared for the project are adequate in conformance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and the planning commission adopt the draft mitigated negative declaration for 153 James Avenue tree removal project.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Second motion?
Is this a revised one we're supposed to use?
Yes.
All right. I guess I'm in the motion business.
Yeah.
Further move the planning commission to find that the proposed removal of 4 heritage trees at 153 James Avenue in Atherton not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan, and for the reasons outlined in the staff report, and the commission approved removal with the conditions stated in the revised draft heritage tree removal certificate.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All against? Motion passes. I have to advise you that you can appeal to the council within 10 days.
But thank you for the offer.
Thank you for coming. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the report on the transportation demand management monitoring program at Menlowsville. Staff?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to the staff report. I can certainly answer questions, or if you'd like, we could just turn it over. Maybe David McAdoo first could describe some of the meeting he recently held with the neighbors, how the measures are being implemented, and then also Gary Black is here from Hexagon, who prepared the report, and he could review that for you and answer any of your questions.
All right. Is there any questions of staff? Too tough to. No,
I mean,
no, I will have,
Oh, you need to-
as, when I open the public hearing, the applicants, or his representatives can make their report at that time. Okay, I'll open the public hearing with the applicant care to bring us, summarize the report.
Well, good evening. Pleased to be here. David McAdoo, Director of Operations and Construction for Menlo School. We really don't have a whole lot to add to the report, the staff report. I do want to just let you know about a meeting we had with some of our closest in neighbors on Michael's Way and a representative of the Homeowners Association for Victoria Manor. We outlined where we were with the count and what the results of the count were and how we were doing vis-a-vis the targets that we had. And it's pretty clear that we've got a problem in the afternoon that has been sort of confounding us for some time. I think the result of that meeting was that the neighbors, although they're still sort of frustrated by the amount of traffic on Valparaiso, it's just sort of, there's a lot of traffic on Valparaiso. But they were very appreciative of the effort that we've gone through in the last couple of years to implement a traffic demand management program. They think it's having an impact. The numbers support that it's having a significant impact. The single problem we have, well, the largest single problem we have is in the afternoon, and we think that's a result of a target that is unattainable. So we have retained a traffic consultant to analyze all the data, and the neighbors support, I think I can say that the neighbors support our plan to come back to this commission in late summer or early fall, and with a suggested modification to the conditional use permit with an achievable target. Our challenge is going to be to make sure that it's still a low bar and that we still have to work very hard to maintain a low traffic count on Valparaiso and a low impact on Valparaiso. But we really need something that we can succeed at, and we don't think we have that number right now. We were really encouraged because we started this program with 3 new bus routes. We never had busing except for the little train shuttle. So we implemented 3 buses in the morning only. And we got a significant reduction in the number of cars entering the loop. Anecdotally, if you stand in the loop, our drop-off pickup area in the morning, it's a much, much different world out there. We were still, as I said, confounded by the afternoon. We couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. It was still much reduced, but it wasn't getting to the targets. We did things like we installed in-ground loop counters so that we can track it hour by hour, 24 hours a day, so that we could constantly adjust our programs to try to make these targets and not rely on this once-a-year sort of report card. And that's been hugely beneficial to us in terms of sort of a real-time modification to the plan. We have, so this year, our second year, we added 3 buses in the afternoon. And that resulted in a 24% reduction in the amount of traffic in the afternoon. We're still not making the target in the afternoon. We're right on the cusp of the morning, but the afternoon is still problematic. So what we've decided to do for a couple of reasons. One is we had a number of families tell us that they were interested in having a bus that runs to Los Altos Hills. One of the 3 buses did not go in that direction. They basically come from sort of the Portola Valley, that's one, from East Palo Alto through Palo Alto and Menlo Park, and the third one comes sort of from the north, from Hillsborough. So we are going to add a 4th bus route, and we feel pretty confident that that will get us under the morning number comfortably, but we have no confidence that it will get us to the target in the afternoon. So we need a little bit of time. We need a little bit of time for the consultant to take a look and find out what's wrong with this afternoon target and why can't we make this thing. So that's kind of where we are. We wanted to get to you now because we did the count and we're not planning on coming in for a number of reasons related to some projects we have. We're going to be seeing a lot of you this year. So we were trying to schedule in different visits we're going to have with you and get our update to the master plan, which is when we would normally report this. But that's not going to come for a couple of months, so we wanted to get to you now. Maybe more as kind of a courtesy thing so that you know where we are and you know what we're doing and you know what we're doing relative to our targets, but also let you know that we'll be coming back to you to ask for, probably ask for a modification of the conditional use permit to get a target that we can. The neighbors, Lisa talked about a meeting we had with the neighbors. They seem to be very much in support of that. They're not as interested in a specific target, as they are reductions. And they're seeing those reductions, they're seeing improvement, and they're really, I think, willing to work with us in the town to come up with a reasonable goal that achieves their goals and allows us to continue to operate.
Do we have any questions?
I'll just echo your comments about the afternoon traffic on Valparaiso. If you happen to be coming out of one of those side streets and trying to get onto Valparaiso, turning either way, either toward El Camino or back toward the Alameda, it's darn near impossible for about an hour, and I'm sure everybody knows that. That's what you're remarking about.
Well, I'm not sure it's an hour, but it's very difficult. And we have peak traffic periods. I think the peak traffic period in the morning is like 7:15 to 8:15, in the afternoon 3 to 4 o'clock. And I sort of get tangled up in that as well, delivering my daughter to school, and you've got Hillview School, you've got Sacred Heart School, you've got Menlo School, and we're all on slightly different schedules, but it's only like 5 minutes apart. So that's not a good time to be on Valparaiso or really any of those surrounding streets. I don't know that we will ever be able to solve that problem in that narrow window. But what we're attempting to do is to take a little bit broader view of it and try to improve the flows on Valparaiso in a little bit broader window. But we have these target times we have to make the most impact we can.
Any further questions?
The one question I had was about the lower target on the afternoon than in the morning. And since I wasn't on the board at that point, I don't know why the difference in the big difference in the two time slots.
Well, just on the face of it, the morning is a much different situation where school starts at a specific time and the kids all come at that time. So if school starts at 8 o'clock, it's 7:55 for the middle school and 8 o'clock for the upper school. The parents are delivering their kids then. In the afternoon, it's a much more spread out window because most of our kids are either in some sort of athletic program after school, they're visiting with a teacher, they're doing club, different things. They might be in a school play, they might be, they've got a million things they're doing after school. So that window, they leave at any time from, say, 3 o'clock when they get out of school to 5 or 6 o'clock. So you got them all coming in the morning, but then in the evening, they're spread out when they leave. So you would assume that the target is one thing in the morning and lower in the afternoon. One of the things that we found when we looked at it, we said, this just is not making any sense. We reconstructed the day that the target was taken from. And we didn't do this when we set the target, which is with I guess experience comes wisdom, but we went back and took a look at that day. It was an extremely unusual day in terms of activities on our campus where they didn't leave. They were here. So the traffic going out was minimal. So we said, all right, we're gonna knock 30% off that number. Well, it was off of a number where people weren't leaving. It was a really strange day. So we wanna fully understand that before we come back to this commission and ask for, I mean, a modification to the conditional use permit we take very seriously. So we want to fully understand that, all the implications of that, and try to come up with a number that, as I say, still keeps us, we're still paying attention to this thing, but that we have a shot at succeeding with. But that particular day was very strange,
Okay.
very strange.
I was surprised it was so much lower.
Well, in retrospect, so are we.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you for
Is
the
there-
ongoing updates.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak for amendment? All right. Does the public have any comment? Any members of the public want to speak on the subject? Don't be so eager. Thank you. I'll close the public hearing. And the planning staff has recommended that we take certain following actions. And I'm sure all of you are aware of those. So let's start our discussion. And I'll start with you, Chris.
I've got a question. The conditional permit for the, accept the report and provide direction to the mental school. I think we, except for filing though, isn't it the same situation as our current plan? Except
Yes.
for filing? Yeah.
Right, you're not approving the report.
Do you have a question?
So, in the conditional use permit, if I remember correctly, there was certain targets, and then at a certain point, it was like Armageddon, and the hammer came down. When is that? I can't remember what the timing was. I know that there were timing over a few years, but then at a certain point, there was something that happened. They would have to reduce student enrollment if they didn't meet the numbers, and I wondered.
I think 750 in
Do
2016.
you recall, I asked Neil to put it in, I don't see it right away. Do you recall what year that is effective?
It would be not this coming year. We have already admitted our kids.
Right, I know.
The next fiscal year.
It would be the following year. So the next admission cycle, which is October, November, December of,
14,
yes.
14 for 15.
Yeah.
so it's 14,
Right, but
15.
when does that get triggered? I know that there's a delay in actually the implementation, but at what point?
I believe it's triggered.
It's already triggered, okay.
Yeah, I think it was 1 year prior.
And in effect, what you're saying is, don't force us to reduce the enrollment at this time. We would like to come back to you in a couple of months, but after we've studied the reasons for your afternoon target, and request that you will request a revised target. And at that time, we can discuss
Yes.
why you didn't meet it, so forth.
But presumably at this point, we're not doing anything, so we would leave in place basically the fact that the enrollment has to go down.
In terms of.
But before it actually gets implemented, you'll be back to say,
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
give
that's
us relief.
correct. The chronology is that we would have to start planning for a reduction, reducing budget. Our admission process would have to start in that October, November window of 2013.
13.
So at the end, next fall.
Right.
we obviously plan on coming back to you before then, so that we don't have to do that.
Right. Any further questions or discussion? Well, may I have a motion to accept for filing this annual report?
I move the planning commission approve the planning staff recommendations, items number 1, 2, and 3, and accept for filing the proposal from the Menlo School.
This is where it says that spring of 2013.
Is that clear enough?
I guess one question I have on the recommendations is that obviously accept, that's fine, request that they work with neighbors, that's fine. Number 3 seems to be written as if there's an assumption that the amendment is going to be given. I don't think that we're making any decisions now.
No, and I think that should be clear.
So,
We'll have to hear the reasons when they come back.
right.
We're not adjusting any charge.
So the word in that sentence that is probably the most directive sentence is request. So I would say something like Menlo schools may apply,
Right.
and then that gets us away from the position of our saying that we're looking for a request. So if you decide to lower your enrollment, that's up to you. That's an easy way to make your plan.
Right.
Coming back with an exception to the plan that would be approved will be up to you also, but either way.
Permissive.
It's permissive.
That's good. I think
Does he motion
that's- All right,
Second.
you second the motion with that change. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? No, the motion is unanimous, so you got it carried. Thank you for coming in, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of months.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great catch.
That's Paul.
You can turn your name around, tag around, when you can remember your name now.
See, I don't want anybody there.
All right, we have come to item number 8, which is a conditional